I'm your host, B, and this is the Healer's Honey podcast. Hello, pollinators, and welcome back to Healer's Honey. I don't know if you can tell, my setup is a little crazy right now. I had to remove all of the stuffed animals because somebody thinks that they're hers and likes to chew them to death. It's also why the pillows are stacked up, and I've got some stuff around because we're in the process of moving the larger storage into a smaller storage, so I'm bringing things home, and things have just been kind of chaotic right now. I'm going to preface this by saying that I am actually kind of sick right now. I've had this horrible pounding headache and nausea for several days, and I've been trying to just do tea and find moments to rest. I slept so much yesterday. I was napping all day. I brought this mixed berry and watermelon smoothie. And I put a bunch of superfood powder in it, 2 different superfood powders, and this 7 different mushroom blend powder. I really went all out. I was like, man, I need the immunity boost. And then my tea is kind of a pain relief tea. It's got ginger and chamomile and lavender and mint. So I'm really hoping that by the end of these beverages and the end of the day even, I'm feeling a little bit better. So if I'm not my typical spunky self, that's kind of why I don't feel good. But I'm showing up, which was really hard to do today. I have really been struggling actually with this episode. I even now don't really know what my intentions are. I have had kind of a crazy month. Lots of ups and downs. Kind of been feeling cranky. And actually just kind of angry. I'm angry because things in my life are just not the way that I want them to be. And I'm trying to both allow myself to be angry and also stay present in this moment and be grateful for things. And it's tricky. Let me tell you. I love my dog. Love her. But she is a menace. She chews. She jumps. She licks. The licking gets me so bad. I do not like to be licked like that. And I know some people are like, oh, I let my dog lick me all over, blah, blah, blah. I just don't love that. And my little dog, he's not much of a licker. He'll give you 1 or 2 little licks on the arm or a lick on the nose here and there. And that's fine. That is enough for me. I'm like, all right, buddy, you're cute. Her, she will lick and lick and lick and lick and lick and not stop. It's very invasive, and just, I have some sensory issues, and to me, it feels icky, and my body just blech. So I have been trying to work with her on not licking as much and jumping and everything else. But she's a baby puppy, and so it's going to take some time for her to get over some of these habits. Time and practice. And so I'm also trying to accept that. And my life has been busy, and so my apartment is not as clean as I would like it, and I'm not super happy at my job, and I'm trying to find new jobs, but nothing else that is available to me right now feels good. I finished school for the semester, which is great. Taking a summer class. I wish I could take more summer classes, but there's really not that much available for my degree, which is a little bit disheartening. But I'm going to take 5 classes next semester, which might be a lot, but I'm going to do it and hopefully just get through my first degree, and then I can start working on my second degree, which will be nice. I'm hoping to be done with school in the next year and a half, maybe 2. Like by the end of 2026, if I could be done in the winter of 2026, that would be fantastic. But we will see. So I've had a lot going on. Also, there's some family stuff going on, and so I've just been really stressed, and maybe I'm rambling a little bit too much about my own personal shit, but that's just where I am, and I just felt the need to explain that before I really got into anything. So most of you probably have not seen this movie. It's considered a classic, but I had never heard about it, never seen it. And I can tell why a lot of people wouldn't be able to sit through it unless you're already interested in the things that they're talking about. But it's called My Dinner with Andre. And it's just these two gentlemen who go to dinner, and it's their conversation at dinner. It's about 2 hours long. And if you're not into dialogue and storytelling without a lot of imagery, this movie would be hard to sit through. There were a couple times I was like, man, how much longer is this movie? But everything they were saying was so incredible. It was very much, these two guys were very involved in the theater world, playwrights, whatever. And one of them kind of just gets sick of everything and goes off and travels the world and has all these kind of spiritual awakenings and what have you. And the other one is just trying to be content living the life that he has, and is doesn't feel the need for some big spiritual awakening, and why do you have to do all these crazy things to have this sense of appreciation for your life and whatever. It's a very interesting movie, and it keeps bringing me back to the desire of presence in each moment, because I feel like a lot of people are not fully present in the moment. Even right now as I talk, I am thinking about what I'm going to say, and I'm trying to be present, but because I don't feel well and whatever, I'm still just a little bit, not quite dissociative, but distracted, not fully right here, right now. I've been working on breathing more and focusing on my breath. And in the movie, it even talks about, you taking the time to taste your food, taste each bite of your food, and really just be present with eating. I've been kind of trying to do that. But for me personally, I have so many big goals and big dreams that I tend to overplan and think about the future and try and focus so much on what I'm doing now that's going to create that future that I'm not enjoying this moment right now. And I think a lot of us struggle with that. We, as humans, are wired to produce and create and do things. But a little phrase that I like is that we are human beings, not human doings. And so there are moments when we just need to be and exist right where we are. And that is really important for enjoying life to the fullest and really absorbing the whole experience of this lifetime and this human existence. Because when we're rushing through and we're so focused on what we need to do to accomplish things to create this ideal life, we're not finding joy regularly. And if we can't find joy now where we are, who's to say that when we get to that dream life that we won't fully enjoy that either? And because I am so obsessed with my future and my dreams and having my farm and having these spiritual events on my farm and just this, I have this image of the daily life in my head, and it's beautiful, it's wonderful. But I'm realizing that if I cannot embody the joy that I think I will have, then I will be in the habit of like mundaneness and kind of autopiloting, being in habits, and I won't be present then. And so I'm really trying to work on presence now. And it is challenging, but I actually feel like I have been fairly successful with it. Like I said, coming back to the breath a lot. When I start to think of other things, 2 people now I have seen kind of do this. Heather from Activation Vibration, when she has thoughts that she does not find beneficial to her, she just swipes them away and says, nope, not this, moving on, and thinks of something else, which is fantastic. And I believe it was Robert Edward Grant that I saw on a podcast. I've seen him on a few different podcasts recently. I'm kind of obsessed with him right now. But he was saying something, and somebody he had talked to, they just go next and they move on to the next thing. So I've actually been using that specifically and just going next, like turning a page is how he explained it. You're, reading this book in your brain and you turn the page because that information is not valuable to you. And I think that practicing skills like that can be so beneficial because a lot of the things in our brain are suggestions that we don't necessarily consciously choose to think about. And a lot of people, I think, and I went through this a lot, I had guilt and shame and just felt really bad for some of the things that would come up in my mind. But a lot of the things that pop into the brain are things that come from the environment, things that we've heard from other people or the news, or things that we are seeing or thinking or feeling or being suggested to us through other things outside of ourselves. And so, your thoughts are not you. Your thoughts are almost like a different entity sometimes because things from the outside world end up in here that we don't necessarily approve of, and they start to come back up. They come from our subconscious and they come to the forefront of our brain, and then we go, whoa, what the hell? And I think a very important practice is to learn to hear those thoughts, assess whether they are positive or negative, whether they are worth taking the time to hold on to, and if not, moving forward and moving past them. And for me, I've been working on that for a while, but part of that practice has now evolved into coming back to the present right now. What am I seeing? What am I sitting on or standing on? Where am I? How does my body feel? Am I thirsty? Am I hungry? Am I warm, cold? Am I don't know, just where am I? What am I doing? Am I taking a full deep breath? Am I feeling the air in my lungs? And so coming back into the present has helped me not stress out so much over things that I don't feel I can control. We live our lives and we end up in these circumstances that we don't always consciously choose for ourselves. However, decisions that we have made have gotten us to these points. So, in a sense, we did choose to be here. And there are times when you kind of need to reflect on What is the lesson here? Why did I choose to put myself here? Is this beneficial? Is it not? If I want to change the situation, what can I do? But also, since I'm here, what good things can I take from this moment? Sometimes it's just that the birds are chirping and it's a nice day, and that's fantastic. That's great. Sometimes it's that you're going through something really difficult and you're learning how to deal with your emotions. Or you're learning how to communicate with people. Or you're learning how to set boundaries, or learning a new skill to be able to deal with the situation that you are in. Changing all of these negative things in my life to something more positive, I still struggle with it. I feel I'm calling myself out a little bit here. I had this thing. People would call me a pessimist, like a lot. But personally, I always felt like a realist because my reality was shitty, which was true in a lot of ways. So I felt very valid in that. And to a degree, I still do feel valid in that. However, my focus was so heavily on the negative that those situations probably felt a lot more heavy and horrible than they needed to. What I could have done was accepted all the shitty shit and tried to pick out little things that made me feel good. And I never really spent a lot of time doing that. I just said, why me? And, oh, this is so horrible. My life is horrible. There were points in my life that I did not even want to be alive. I did not think that I was going to live past 16, 20, 25. I'm 28 now. I'm still here, and I actually don't feel any desire to not exist on this planet in this lifetime in my body. Which is kind of a first, because even though I had this desperate desire to live this full life, I didn't know how to do it. And so I had the thought of, well, maybe it's better if I'm not living at all. And I genuinely felt that for a long time. And that was part of my really deep depression that I was in for most of my life. I suffered chronic depression. Jeez, I remember the first time I was really, really depressed. I was like 8 years old. And I remember going through like a depression. Really lethargic and upset about everything, crying a lot. Other people in my life were confused. Nobody really knew how to deal with it. And after that, there was just many, many, many times in my life where I was chronically depressed. Like, it was this feeling that just never fully went away. And even now, I feel so much better, and I wouldn't say that I'm in depression, but I do have days where I question the goodness of life, and I'm not feeling the love. There are days that are just hard. And I am still working to like regulate my emotions, learn how to deal with those feelings when they come up. It's hard. I am not in denial of any of that. It is so hard. to feel good when you are used to feeling like shit. A lot of people probably want this show canceled, but I grew up on it, and there are so many things about it that I just love. South Park is one of my favorite things because I relate to so many things. There's an episode, and it's Stan, and he's in the Matrix, and basically everything is shitty. He wakes up in the alarm clock. You know, the people on the talk show are like farting and shitting and everything. His breakfast looks like a pile of shit, but it's waffles. Like, every time I see that episode, I cannot help but laugh because I was there. I was totally there. I resonate with that episode literally so much. Because I really did. Everything to me looked and felt like shit, sounded like shit, was shitty, everything was awful. I was so negative about everything. And even now I have my days. Like, I'm really not happy at my job, and I keep trying to like, oh, I'm gonna make it better, and then things happen and they make it worse, and I'm like, so I struggle with that one. And my partner, he keeps trying to help me correct the mindset and be like, no, you don't hate your job, you just want a new job, and you know, whatever. And I struggle with that, and especially when somebody else is trying to correct me. And I know it's out of love, and it really does help me later on, but in that moment I feel so like resentful, and I just want to reject that, and I'm like, no, this fucking sucks. And I feel like a lot of us will really hang on to those feelings sometimes. We really dig our heels in and we're like, nope, this is awful, and that's just how it is, and that's my feelings, and your feelings are totally valid. Do not get me wrong. And most of us aren't taught, and we don't have tools and practices to work on to help us feel better in those moments and around those moments, in these phases. And so that's why I have spent so much of my life at this point. Oh my God, almost half of my life. Probably about half of my life I have spent researching psychology and spirituality and different religions and physical health, nutrition. I have studied so many things. Oh my God, the amount of self-help books that I have read. And some of them like totally not even that helpful, and some of them amazing. It's incredible. Like, I was 14 or 15, probably like 15 when I started to get into my like hippie phase. And I have always been kind of spiritual. I've always loved magic, and witchcraft always intrigued me. But then it became more of this like self-help journey where I was trying to find anything to make me feel better. And I collected all of this information, but for a long time putting it into practice felt so impossible. And even when I would do things here or there, it just didn't feel like enough. And so I would be discouraged and like not want to do it anymore. Or I'd be so depressed that I literally couldn't get out of bed for like days at a time. And my mindset was just not, I just wasn't with it. As much as I desperately wanted things to be like this magical cure, they weren't. And I really didn't understand how practice over time is what strengthens those skills, and that's what helps you improve. It was only a couple years ago when I really got myself out of being in active trauma situations that I started to notice, oh, I can handle this better. This doesn't hurt as bad. Different things were easier. I was more capable of handling them. My communication skills were improving. I could do so much more. And then I realized after reflecting on it or whatever, that all those years of building up this toolbox and working even slowly and hardly at times on certain skills, it all built up to now. And because I put in that work and suffered and learned how to use those tools, they suddenly worked. And it really wasn't this suddenly, but it was like suddenly I realized, oh my gosh, this has been working slowly. So slowly that I didn't even notice it. And then one day I was like, oh my God. So I feel like I've talked about several different things, but I feel like a lot of it comes back to what you do here and now is going to affect your future. And instead of overthinking the future and over planning the future, also focus on the now. Because like I said in one of my previous podcasts, I'm trying to get degrees and I'm doing all this stuff, but like I'm not fully enjoying living in my apartment. I'm not fully enjoying being a student. There are other things that I could do as a student that I would probably really enjoy, like, go to some clubs and I don't know, they've got all kinds of like art programs and different side things, crafting days and whatever. Like there are things that I would love as a student and I'm not taking advantage of them. I'm just working my way through trying to get done and not even thinking about it. Even my job, as much as I don't like a lot of it, I try to take time to be more appreciative of the fact that I can make enough money to pay my bills in 3 days of working. And yeah, it's like long days. It's like 10 plus hour days, but the money is good and they really don't feel that long. And part of me is scared that if I get another job, I'm going to have to work, because most shifts are like 8 hours. I'm scared I'm going to have to work more days. It's going to feel longer and I'm going to get burnt out faster, because while this job burns me out, I have 4 days of recovery time. That's kind of a lot. And that's been so beneficial to me. But the job security just isn't there. And so there's many reasons why I'm looking for another job. But there are times when I need to appreciate what I have, and like the fact that I get to travel every single day that I'm there. And whether it's going to the same spot over and over and over and over, because they like to do that to me, or getting to see different areas and new places and whatever, like it's cool. I like to travel. So the fact that I get to kind of do some of that for work, even though I don't always get to explore where I'm at, I still get to see new things and be in new places and maybe meet new people. I get experiences that I really enjoy, and I'm going to look back someday and I'm going to miss this. And I know that I've definitely said that in one of my previous podcasts. But it's like, it's real. Enjoying this moment right here, sitting on my couch with my dog and my other dog who's off camera, but they're both very sleepy and cute. I'm going to miss this. I'm going to look back at these podcast episodes and be like, damn, I should have been more in the moment. So, I think this episode really just comes back to presence. And that your joy is not somewhere out in this future that you're planning and that you hope to have one day or whatever. Your pleasure and your joy and your peace is now. If you allow it, if you create it, if you feel it. There are many different tools and practices that you can do to magnetize those feelings into your life. And I know it gets crazy and confusing and scary and it's hard to stick with, but they are there. There is Google, there is YouTube, there are whatever. The internet is amazing. Library books, even, there's a lot of books out there. I have Most of my library is existential, philosophical, spiritual, self-help. Like, I don't have a lot of fiction. I have psychology books about trauma. I have a copy of the DSM. I have, lots of Ram Dass and Eckhart Tolle and just different types of, Atomic Habits. It's like one that I'm always going to talk about. It's like, please read Atomic Habits. It will change your life. But yeah, there's so much information out there that can help you. You just have to be willing to not only look for it and take it in, but reflect on it and absorb it and practice it. Putting it into practice is hard. But if you can figure out a system, and it doesn't have to be this, you take 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes at night to like do this meditation and this ritual. If you can high five yourself in the mirror once a day and tell yourself you're doing a good job and you're going to get through this, and maybe when you're eating your lunch, take 2 bites and really taste all of the flavors of your sandwich, whatever, your salad, your smoothie. If you just take these little tiny moments and you practice paying attention to them, it will add up, and later you will be present and you will be aware and you will have an easier time coming into this moment and feeling joy and feeling excitement and feeling whatever it is this moment has to offer you. I'm currently working on like a lot of different things. But I do have an event coming up locally. And that is going to be on higher self mindset. And so what we're going to do is some embodiment, which I don't know what people expect, but the reality of embodiment is going to be movement. It's going to be dancing. It's going to be being physically weird. We're going to get weird. We're going to shake off all of the negative shit. We're going to move it out of our bodies. Then we're going to do some meditation to clear our minds and get this visual and get really in this feeling of our higher self. And then we're going to do some journaling to express it and get it on paper, because when you get things out of your brain and onto paper, it becomes more of a real tangible thing. Then we're going to do some like sharing in the group and connecting and what have you. And that's going to be about it. But that's my first event, and I'm very, very excited to do something like that. And I'm going to use this experience to help me create more tools that I can share with you guys. I want to do, journal prompts and workbooks and little courses and all kinds of things. Like, I have lots and lots of ideas for how to take my experience and all the things I've learned in my toolbox and share them with you. I also offer one-on-one sessions for like coaching and energy clearing, and I do a lot of different things. Like, whatever you can think of that says, oh, I might need or want this so that I can improve this, I probably have some tips and can help you out. So please feel free to reach out to me. You can instant message me on social media. You can send me an email. I mean, that's pretty much it. But I am available. I am working on things. I have a lot of things that I want to share with the collective. And I'm just, even in the moments when I'm sick and I'm cranky, I'm excited to be in this moment working on this stuff. I'm excited to see where it goes. But to have that future of being this wonderful, amazing guide for others, I have to take the small steps now. I have to be here now. I have to do the podcast now. I have to plan the event now. And it's tedious. But it's going to be so worth it, and I'm so glad that even though I wasn't feeling good, I was good enough to sit and talk to you guys today. And I hope that whatever you're struggling with or you're dealing with, that you find things that fit you and they will help you move through this. with ease, with inner peace, with like safety, and just that you can enjoy the life that you've been given. So thank you so much, the pollinators, for joining me. I'm working on a community group called the Pollinator Portal that I'm going to do through Discord. So keep your eyes peeled for that on the internet, wherever you can find me. Instagram. I'm not really on TikTok, but like I'm on TikTok. I'm starting to be on TikTok. I'm trying. I have a Facebook page. Instagram is really like my main platform. Instagram and like YouTube, and I post on Spotify. I always post these on Spotify, though they don't really get a lot of attention on Spotify, but that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled wherever you can find me for announcements on that, on events, on offerings, on whatever. And if you noticed, I'm using pollinator because bee, healer's honey, but I like, everybody has their thing that they call their viewers, their followers, their group members, their community people, whatever. And I came up with pollinators because, one, it fits the whole bee theme. Two, we all have gifts to share with the world. And if we can spread those gifts and pollinate the world with our things that we have to give, we can create a very beautiful place. So, thank you, pollinators, for joining me, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for supporting the Healer's Honey podcast and project. Please like and subscribe or follow to stay up to date with future content. I'm your host, Bee, and I'll see you next time.